Hey, it's time for another walk and talk. Wait, you know what? That's actually John's line. This is my first walk and talk. Why am I doing a walk and talk, you might ask? Well, it's pretty straightforward. About a week ago, John released a walk and talk video where he talked specifically about movie endings and how he feels they've been letting him down lately. Specifically the movies Annihilation. He mentioned a couple other movies like Downsizing. And I wanted to do my own video to talk about why I enjoyed these movies so much, specifically their endings. And I wanted to touch on the 3 points that John made. John's first point was that he called shenanigans on the idea that these movies were left open for sequel endings. I don't disagree with that because in my interpretation, at least one of the films, Downsizing, its ending wasn't about being a sequel. For me, the ending to Downsizing was perfectly on point. The whole story of Downsizing isn't about comedy, although I know that's the way the movie was marketed. The movie was more about the fact that no matter what you do in life, whether you gain wealth, you help the environment by trying to grow smaller or change things around your world, life still goes on in the same way that it always does. And that's exactly what the ending tied up for me. You have Matt Damon. He's still got all the same problems around him. He's doing his part to make his world a little bit better, but life is still the same way. We all still live in the same world. No matter whether we're big, tall, short, fat, rich, poor, doesn't matter. It's the same world. And we all have to continue to go on the same journey that we usually do. Point number 2 in John's video, maybe these movies were supposed to be left open to interpretation. And he called shenanigans once again. I'm not debating shenanigans on left open to interpretation because I don't think there was a whole lot of interpretation. I'm going to specifically talk about Annihilation in this case. In Annihilation, you start off the movie with Natalie Portman sitting in a chair in a very clinical, scary place, people all dressed up in hazmat suits and whatnot, and they're asking her simple questions that she seemingly has no way to answer. Then at the end of the movie, she's back in the same room. She's answering those questions once again, but now you've had the benefit of seeing the entire story. At the end of all this, she goes to be with her husband. There's a very interesting scene where her husband and her share a couple of lines that John called ambiguous, and then it does cut to black, I'll grant you that. However, both characters have some close-ups that are very telling for the story. There's also another point that there's a tattoo that's visible during parts of the movie and not during other parts of the movie. With the stuff that happens at the end of this movie, it's very apparent that this is a science fiction cliffhanger. Very much in the same regard that Best of Both Worlds was a wonderful Star Trek television episode that ended on a total cliffhanger that left you waiting for more. So in this case, yeah, I think Annihilation could definitely have a sequel. I don't necessarily need the sequel though, because they tied up the ending in a way that was satisfying to me. Not that I'm interpreting the story that happened, but just that I could figure out for my own what I would have liked to have happened in the story after that point. Point number 3 in John's video is that he simply can't understand movie endings anymore or isn't capable of figuring these out. Well, I call shenanigans on that. John is a super intelligent guy who's watched thousands upon thousands of films. I've known him for a long time, and I generally agree with his opinion in most of the films that we share. However, it's okay that we don't share the same opinion in this case. It's okay that he's wrong and I'm right. The one thing I want to get across is these movies didn't have stoppings, as John put it. They had endings. They weren't the traditional endings that you're used to in Hollywood. They weren't the feel-good or the horribly gone wrong Reservoir Dogs type of ending. But they were still an ending, and it's okay because that's the way life is. In Downsizing, Matt Damon and his characters, they all just kept moving on with life. In Annihilation, you had Natalie Portman and her husband, and something is definitely going to happen from that point forward, but you just don't know what it's going to be, and that's okay. I think that these movies had great endings. I hope that you agree, and if you haven't seen these films yet, go download them. Go watch them in the theater, whatever it is that you need to do to see these films, because they're definitely 2 films worthy of your time. Speaking of which, I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys next time. Don't you know that you're a grown up?
Subscribe to GenXGrownUp by clicking right here and enable notifications so you won't miss a thing. Use the comments down below to tell us what you think, and while you're there, a thumbs up would be great too. Please share this online wherever you hang out. Connect with GXG on social networks by clicking right here.
Basically, life sucks as a grown up.